Santa was pretty good to me this year for sending me some very, very nice board games. Granted, I did get some of these myself, but I got a gift card for my parents for my local game store. Not only that, they were having, both the local game stores I go to, they were having a Boxing Day sale, so 20% off everything in the store. So obviously, I had to take advantage of that with my gift card and a little bit of my own cash. But here is sort of my board game haul for this Christmas season. I definitely wanted to get a lot more solo game content, not only for the channel, but just to play on my own. I definitely want to try to get a little bit more into just playing games myself where I can, because obviously I do love playing things like Dice Throne and some of the larger games with my friends. However, it's scheduling and stuff like that. Not every weekend we are able to, or maybe we're playing other games like D&D or other tabletop role-playing games. So I definitely would like to try in the new year, dive a little bit more and create some more content for you all, and hopefully some of these games will help do that. I'm definitely looking forward to making some content on these games, but why don't we talk a little bit about what I got? So, the first game that I actually got for the holidays was actually on Christmas Day. My parents got me Tiny Epic Dungeons. I did send sort of a wish list of some solo games that I would like, such as like Mini Rogue, for example, is one of them, as well as Set a Watch. Those are a couple of other ones that I might get myself in the future. But I also had Tiny Epic Dungeons on there. Tiny Epic Dungeons was a game that I've always wanted to try. I do love me a good dungeon crawler, but I do like the fact that it comes in a pretty portable experience, and it's a lot quicker to set up and play, compared to stuff like Sword and Sorcery or some of the larger games, of course. Not only that, you can play it solo, so obviously a big plus there. I absolutely loved this game, so I actually went out the day after for Boxing Day or whatever and got the Tiny Epic Dungeons Stories expansion, mainly for the extra heroes. I do know that the story's content isn't like the best, but adding in extra goblins as well as extra minions and extra loot, as well as mainly the extra heroes, make it definitely a worthwhile experience if you are into the Tiny Epic Dungeons experience. And I can wholeheartedly agree. I was playing with my siblings and we tried out the new characters in the stories expansion, and we definitely enjoyed those a lot more. They were just a lot more interesting, but regardless, the regular ones are still fantastic. This game is super, super difficult. It definitely has quite a bit of a learning curve. I didn't expect the size of the game. Usually when a game comes in this size, you don't expect such a pretty large experience, but the Gameland Games, the publisher for this, they have a really good knack of creating a pretty deep experience in such a tiny box. These obviously don't compare to the bigger box games. However, it was quite surprising. There's still quite a lot of decision making you have to do. Essentially, you are controlling 1 to 4 heroes, and you are essentially revealing tiles, revealing a randomized dungeon in hopes to kill off specific minions to unlock the door to the boss lair and ultimately defeat the boss. Out of the 3 times that my siblings or my family and I played, because we actually played once with my mom as well, and she actually enjoyed it quite a bit, we only got to the boss the last time we played. So the 3rd time we played, it definitely is pretty difficult. I can definitely see why some people don't even get to the boss in some of their playthroughs. But there is a lot of interesting decisions you have to make. There is a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to resource management. Like, you have to really manage your health and how quickly you have to complete things before the torchlight runs out. I will say there are definitely some pain points. I could definitely say, like, for example, sometimes the goblins, you pretty much have to have one person just staying in one spot and just, keeping the goblin count down. Because if the goblin count gets too high, then you ultimately lose the game. So that definitely was a thing to play around a little bit. We definitely got a little bit better at, being able to manage the goblins, but also being able to have everyone contribute and move around and explore and stuff like that. But overall, it was a super, super fun time. So I picked up the stories, but I also went ahead and picked up Tiny Epic Dungeons, or Tiny Epic Zombies. There is a ton of other Tiny Epic games, if for those of you who are interested in something like this, where there are these really portable experiences that still have a ton of gameplay in it. I believe the latest one that they're doing that's kickstarted currently is Tiny Epic Cthulhu, which I really will get my hand. I really will try to get my hands on a copy of that because I love anything Cthulhu. As you may know, seeing my Arkham Horror fandom for the living card game. And they also have like Tiny Epic Vikings, Tiny Epic Defenders, Tiny Epic Kingdoms, and they're all very different experiences, which is what I really love about this series, is that they don't all play the same. There are some similar mechanics and stuff like that, and obviously similar ways they present the game, but overall the games play quite differently, at least from what I can see from these two. Tiny Epic Zombies, I actually just ended up playing today for the first time with my family, the siblings and I. We played it a couple of times. The first time we lost, the second time we won, just barely. This one is a really fun experience. Not only that, this one differs in the fact that you can play 1 to 5 players, and it's actually multiple game modes you can play. You can play it solo, you can play it 4-player cooperative, you can play it 5-player competitive, or 5-player semi-competitive, where one player plays the zombies and the rest of the players have to cooperate to try and go against the zombie lord. So it's a really fun experience. This one is not a dungeon crawler. This one is more of just a straight up management game where you have to manage your health and your ammo. It's just like a survival game. It's a zombie game. You can probably guess what happens. It takes place in a mall that has randomized layouts, and essentially the goal is to complete 3 objectives that are randomized every single time. I believe out of, I think there's 9 objectives. I could be wrong. But there's also 18. There's like a ton of characters. How many characters are in here? There are 14 characters because those are dual-sided, because they also double as the 14 different zombies that come with their own different effects that you can be going up against, either against the other player or as the solo or cooperative AI controller. So there's quite a bit of replayability in here, and it's definitely more of a puzzle feel. We're trying to figure out the best way to navigate and be the most efficient, because there is, unlike Tiny Epic Dungeons where you do have skill rolls and stuff like that, and you have different modifiers you can apply, in Tiny Epic Zombies you only have 1 dice roll for rolling for melee, and it's always going to be a guaranteed hit. It's just that there might be a negative consequence for you, and when it comes to shooting, that's always a guaranteed kill as well. And all the zombies only have 1 health, so it's really about just maximizing your efficiency and figure out the best movement to the best order into doing things to maximize your turn. It really actually reminded me of Final Girl, sort of the feel of figuring out the puzzle, figuring out the best order to do things in, and also the fact that this game definitely comes down to the wire. At the start of the game, it definitely feels like you have a lot of time to complete your objectives. However, we ended up completing our win. We won just in pretty much the last 2-3 rounds, I think. We just barely got out of there alive. And it was really close because all of us were really low health and really low ammunition. So it's a very fun experience, very cool. Additionally, just a super random thing that I like about this game is the meeples in this game. You can actually, there's like mini plastic versions of the weapons. There's like holes you can actually plug the weapons into on your meeple. So the meeples are actually carrying these 3D printed weapons, which we found absolutely hilarious because it looks super janky, but that's part of the charm of it. So I really like this one. This one is definitely also a lot quicker than Tiny Epic Dungeons. I will say also the stories expansion for Tiny Epic Dungeons does extend it to like a multi-level dungeon crawl. But overall, we were able to beat this game, almost in half the time than it does to play through a Tiny Epic Dungeons. So this is definitely much more of an actual like dungeon crawl experience. So that is the Tiny Epic series that I've gone into so far. The other games in the Tiny Epic series haven't really interested me a whole lot at the moment. I think the only other one I might get is Tiny Epic Vikings. I believe that's the most recent one. That one looks actually pretty interesting, but they all have a variety of different things. Like Tiny Epic Galaxies, for example, is a little bit more of the Euro style game, I believe. And there's like worker placement style stuff in the series. So you can sort of do your research if you're interested in the other types of Tiny Epic games and sort of figure out which one fits your needs the best. But they're also very thematically different as well. There's even one called Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, I think, which is all about dinosaur hunting or dinosaur gathering, something like that. So yeah, there's something there for everyone. And next up that I got today, along with the third game that I'll reveal is, well, not reveal because you already saw it earlier in the video, but when I went to my local game store and used my gift card, I ended up getting some extra Final Girl editions. I got the Happy Trails horror one, and I know this is like this is like pretty much the first one that everyone gets. It's like the good beginner one, but the reason I got it is because I don't actually have an easy Final Girl expansion to play. When I first got into Final Girl, I actually got the game for my sibling, I believe last Christmas or a couple of Christmases ago. And I did get them a copy of the Happy Trails horror, as well as the core game. And we played that together, and that's actually what got me interested in getting the game. However, when I went to the game store, I was like, okay, well, I already played the Happy Trails expansion. Let's try out some new ones. So I ended up getting... I have Creech Manor, I have the Carnival one, and I have Slaughter in the Groves, which if you are familiar with Final Girl, this is something that I looked up afterwards, those are three of some of the hardest Final Girl expansions you can play. So I've played the Carnival one multiple times. I haven't won yet. I've gotten pretty close one time though. And I've played the Creech Manor 3 times so far, and I've gotten nowhere close to winning that one. And apparently Creech Manor is like one of the hardest if you play it with the basic, Final Girl in the actual location. However, I heard that taking the Poltergeist and putting it in different locations actually makes it easier. So I'm going to try that. But I wanted to get the Happy Trails horror one just to actually have something fairly, easy to complete. I still actually need to play Slaughter in the Groves, but I heard that one also in the native location as well as the native Final Girls. I believe that one is also pretty difficult too. And then I wanted something from the new series because the new series actually hit my local game store. There was a full set of them as well. So I got the Evomorph one. So this is the Alien parody or the Alien type Final Girl expansion. So I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. I didn't do my research though. I don't know if this is another one of the extremely hard ones. I was thinking of getting, what was it? The Intruders one, I think. But that one I saw had you fight 3 killers in that one, and I was like, ooh, that one sounds pretty difficult. So I think I'll stay away from that one. And I love the Alien stuff, the Alien theme stuff. I have the Alien tabletop role-playing game, so I just figured this was a nice one to add into the collection. I love Final Girl. It's definitely not going to be a game that I'm going to go all in on though. There's just too many things in the actual series to get, but I will here and there whenever a expansion piques my interest, I'll definitely grab it. For those of you who actually don't know, I probably should have introduced what Final Girl is. If you don't know what Final Girl is the play on the whole horror trope of the final girl in like a horror flick being the last survivor, and you go up against a multitude of different bosses in different areas to essentially fight them one-on-one, and either completing their special objective to get rid of them or just killing them outright with weapons and other gear you find along the way. You'll of course find survivors along the way that will help actually boost your abilities as you save them, or ultimately lead to having a tougher fight as they fall to their demise. The cool thing about this game though is every single feature box has 2 final girls in it with their own unique abilities. It has the boss for that expansion as well as a location. But the cool thing is you can mix and match all of the things together, as long as you do need the core box. So regardless of which one of these you buy, you do need to get the core box to actually play the game. So you get the core box, and then you take whatever final girl from whatever box. You could take a different monster from a different box, and then you could even combine those and put them into a different location with their own different event cards and things like that. So it's a very, very modular experience. It's a super, super fun game. However, I would not recommend it for those who don't like cascading failure mechanics or very, very difficult games. This is definitely a game where the majority of time, I would say, you are going to lose rather than win. Again, sort of playing on that final girl aspect. The final girl doesn't always get away. But overall, it's a really, really fun experience, and it is a true solo experience. There isn't a game mode for multiple people. However, I would say it's still a really, really fun game to play with one other person as you make decisions together. So overall, super, super fun. I'm really, really looking forward to trying these out, and I will probably try them out on camera. All right, and last but not least, the last game I picked up from the local game store is Cartographers Heroes. So this is a game that I've always wanted to try, Cartographers in general. This is Cartographers Heroes, which is the sequel to the Cartographers game. However, looking at sort of some of the stuff online and seeing the different mechanics, I was leaning towards more the Heroes one, because it is a standalone experience. You can combine it with the base game. However, I just got the expansion because I didn't want to spend too much money. I had to restrain myself a little bit there. But Cartographers is what is called a roll and write game, where typically you'll roll dice and you'll actually draw on paper that it provides you different things. There's a variety of different roll and write games out there. However, Cartographers is a little bit different because it's considered a flip and write game, because rather than rolling dice, you're flipping cards, and the different designs on the cards, you're going to be drawing onto what are essentially maps that you're going to be cartographing out and creating different designs with different landscapes to ultimately create different patterns and complete different goals to score the most points. This is actually sort of a spin-off series from the Role Player game. It's from the same developer. And it's in the same world and stuff like that. So it goes along the same way, where it's just really about maximizing your turns to create the most points. I was gonna try to get Role Player. I was thinking about getting Role Player Adventures, but I saw the size of that box and I was like, oh, that is a big, big box game. I actually didn't realize the box was that big. I knew it was like a campaign game, but I didn't know it was that big. And so I was like, oh, okay, I have enough campaign games. Maybe I'll get that in the future, but as of now, I'll maybe get something a little bit more compact and a little bit more portable. And so, yeah. I'm really looking forward to this game. Again, I've never played a roll and write game before. I have zero artistic ability, so hopefully it doesn't require too much on that side of things. But this seems like a really, really fun game to play solo, but also I think it's definitely one of the more interesting games that a lot of people don't bring to tables, because you don't really think about games like this, I think, for the more casual player of board games. So I'm very, very much looking forward to actually bringing this to my family and having some fun times with it, as well as bringing it to my friends, because I think my friends would actually really, really enjoy it. The nice thing about this game as well is the back of the box says it's 1 to 100 players, because it actually doesn't require you to have a limited amount of players, just as long as everyone has a piece of the paper that they need to map out their designs, a pencil. Everyone sort of does everything at the same time. So when you flip over a card and it has the specific designs you have to draw on your map, everyone does it at the same time. So everyone has the same information, so to speak. So it's a really, really cool aspect in that sense as well. And this game also has apparently a ton of sort of like mini expansions or map packs that you can do to sort of vary the experience. The cool mechanic in this game specifically is you actually can end up fighting monsters using different hero cards, which is pretty cool. So a monster may like come and, if you flip over a monster, for example, you actually end up drawing that monster design on your map somewhere, which will actually negatively affect your map. However, then you can end up drawing hero cards, which you can draw their design right beside the monster to end up potentially defeating it, or at least lessening its penalty. So yeah, very, very cool idea. This is going to be my introduction into sort of roll and write games. So maybe it'll introduce me to some more ones. But Cartographers are sort of the main roll and write game that I've always heard about. And I figure it might be a good entry point into that. So definitely probably can expect a video on this one as well. All right, so that is going to do it for this video. I just wanted to sort of show off some of the stuff that I got for this Christmas holiday season, as well as talk a little bit about the games and why I'm interested in them and why I picked them up, or why I asked for them on my wish list. And hopefully maybe some of them piqued your interest as well. I'll try to get some B-roll as well for some of the games, just so you can see some of the components. And hopefully, we'll edit those into this video. But yeah, this is Really, really good setup. I think this will definitely give me quite a bit of gameplay. And yeah, I didn't have to spend that much money, which is always a good thing when it comes to board games, because board games are not cheap. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you got some board games for Christmas. Let me know what you got, and let me know if there are any games that you think I might like based off some of the stuff that you've seen on this channel. But yeah, other than that, hopefully you had a great Christmas. Hopefully you had a great happy holidays. And hopefully if you're watching this in 2024, hopefully you had a great and happy new year as well. And we'll see you in the next one.